Good morning to all of you. Today, we are going to start with a subject named Statistical Mathematics. In statics, we knew that statics is a tool which is used to simplify or to analyze the any survey or detail. Okay. In unit first, the topics to be covered is definition of statics by Seligman and Horak-Serext. Second is the aims, scopes, and limitation of statics. Third is the classification, definition in its type. According to the attributes in class intervals, we are going to classify the statistics according to the attributes and class intervals. References, you just can follow these references for the reference. SRS Chandel, A Handbook of Agricultural Statistics, Achal Prakashan Mandir Kanpur. Second is SP Gupta, again Statistical Mathematics, Sultan Chand and Sons. The third reference book is B.L. Agarwal, Basic Statistics, Willie Easton and New Delhi. Now, as we are starting from the introduction, in the modern world of computers and information technology, the importance of statistics is very well recognized by all the disciplines. Statistics has originated as science of statehood and found application slowly and steadily in the field of agriculture, economics, commerce, biology, medicine, industry, planning, education, and so on. So statistics or stats is a tool which can be used in agriculture, economics, commerce, biology, medicine, industry, planning, education, and so on. There are various fields in which we can apply the statistics and we can analyze the data on the basis of stats. As on date, there is no other human walk of life where statistics cannot be applied. The word statistics conveys a variety of meaning to people in different walks of life. The word statistics comes from the Italian word statista. The word statistics comes from the Italian word statita, means statement. Okay. The German word statistic means political state. The word statistics today is referred to either quantitative information or a method of dealing with quantitative or qualitative information. Basically, statistics deals with the quantitative analysis, or it can be deal with qualitative analysis of the information. Definition: statistics is defined as collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of numerical data according to Croxton and Cowden. Statistics is the science and art of dealing with figure and facts. Use of statistics and the applications of statistics. It facilitates comparison. It simplifies the message of figure. It helps in formulating and testing hypotheses. It helps in prediction. Statistics is the science which deals with the collection of data. Second is organization of data or classification of data, presentation of data, analysis of data, interpretation of data. Here the word data comes again and again. That means statistics is mainly focused and related to the data. According to the data which we had collected or covered under the survey or from by other means, we just produce the statistical data according to the tabular form, the pictorial form, and we can define that this is the scenario presenting from day to day and so on. And we can, on the basis of that analysis, we can predict the future also. Functions of statistics. Statistics simplifies complexity, present facts in definite form, helps in formulation of suitable policies, facilitates comparison, and helps in forecasting. Use of statistics. Statistics has pervaded almost all spheres of human activities. Statistics is useful in the administration of various states, industries, business, economics, research workers, banking, insurance companies, etc., which we had already seen in the last slide, that where we can use the statistics. There are certain limitations of the statistics. Statistical theories can be applied only when there is a variability in the experimental data. Variability in the experiment data means when there is variations in the experimental material or data, then and then only statistics can be applied. Where the constant things are going on and there is no change, then the statistics cannot be worked out. Statistics deals with only aggregates or groups and not with individual objects. Again, this is the second limitation, that statistics deals only with the aggregates or groups. It does not work on the individual objects or individual survey or individual data. We cannot go for the statistics. Statistical results are not exact. Statistical results are assumptions. Basically, they are assumptions. They are not exact data. We can predict on the basis of some information gathered by any source of means, and the statistical results, that's why they are not exact but give the near about values. Statistics can be misused. It can be misused in any way or other way. We will discuss it later on how the statistics can be misused. Now, first and most thing which we need to do for using the statistics as a tool, that is collection of data. Data plays an important role, a major role in the statistics. Data can be collected by using sampling methods or experiments. So first of all, what do you mean by the data? The information collected through censuses and surveys or in routine manner or other sources is called a raw data. When the raw data are grouped into groups or classes, they are known as grouped data. As we are going to see that in later slides, the data is classified under two categories, that is group data and ungrouped data. But before to that, there are broadly two types of data. First is primary data, second is secondary data. The primary data, as the name itself defines, that primary means one who is in actual observation or contact. That is the primary source from where you are just collecting the data. So the primary data which is collected by actual observations or measurements or count is called primary data. Methods of collections of primary data. There are 5 methods of collecting the primary data. Primary data is collected in any one of the following methods. Direct personal interviews. That means you can directly collect the data from the individuals personally. Indirect oral interviews. This means you are going to ask about the information from the third party about the others. This is called indirect oral interviews. Information from correspondence. That means you are just asking the information through the correspondence, through the mails and all that. Mailed questionnaire method. Mailed questionnaire methods is that it is some sort of survey, like you are just send the questions and mail the questions, and you are just getting the response in favor of that questions. And according to the response, you just draw the statistics and deal with that data. Schedule sent through enumerators. This is the 5th method for collecting the primary data. Now the first, that is direct personal interview. The persons from whom informations are collected are known as informants or respondents. The investigator personally meets them and asks questions to gather the necessary information. Merits. It is having merits and limitations. So what are the merits of getting the data by the direct personal interview method? The collected information is likely to be uniform and accurate. Obviously, it is very uniform and accurate because you are directly contact to the person and collecting the data. The investigation is there to clear the doubts of the informants. People willingly supply informations because they are approached personally, and hence more response is noticed in this method than in any other method. So direct personal interview gives the accurate data, accurate information of the individuals, and on the basis of that we can draw the statistics and we can analyze the survey. Okay, so direct personal interview is having limitation. It is likely to be very costly because as you are move to the individuals and collecting the data, so obviously you need to pay high and to spend more time. Therefore, the limitation is it is likely to be very costly and time consuming. If the number of persons to be interviewed is large and the persons are spread over a wide area, then there is some limitations that you cannot go person to person and collecting the data. This is the limitation, or you can call it the drawback of this method. Indirect oral interviews. Under this method, the investigator contact witnesses or neighbors or friends or some other third parties who are capable of supplying the necessary information. That's mean investigator contact witnesses or neighbors or friends or some other third parties. That's mean you are not contacting to the person in person for whom you are asking the information. You are gathering or collecting the information from the third parties, friends, neighbors, and the witnesses of that particular incident or happening, okay, who are capable of supplying the necessary information. The merits or advantages for almost all the surveys of this kind, the informants lie within a closed area and the time and the cost are less. For certain surveys, this is the only method available. Where the direct persons are not available from for whom we are going to calculate the details, so this is the method by which we can get the details or data. Limitation or disadvantage, the information obtained by this method is not very reliable. Yes, obviously it is not very reliable because we are just getting the data from the third parties, and third party can distort the message, or they communicate in some other way but not giving the exact detail of the data. The informants and the person who conducts a survey easily distort the truth. So your truth can be easily distorted. Okay, this is the disadvantage. Third type of primary data is information from correspondents. The investigator appoints local agents or correspondents in different places and complies the information sent by them. So the investigator is doing what? He is set or appoint some local agents or correspondents over different places to gather the information sent by them about any particular incident, about any particular person. Okay, advantages and merits for this type of method is, for certain kinds of primary data collection, this is the only method available. This method is very cheap and expeditious. The quality of data collected is also good due to a long experience of local representatives. Limitation and disadvantage, local agents and correspondents are not likely to be serious and careful. Some of the time, if you are asking about the information, if they are not knowing the exact information, but they give the information in very careless manner, not in a serious manner. So this is the limitation. Just they are doing their formalities to just put forward the any message or any correspondence. Okay, so this is a disadvantage. The fourth method is mail questionnaire method. Under this method, a list of questions is prepared and is sent to all informants by post. That's mean by mail, by post, or by doing sort of survey in the form of paper. Okay, the list of question is technically called questionnaire. The advantage and the merits of this method is it is relatively cheap. It is preferable when the informants are spread over a wide area. It is fast if the informants respond duly. It is having limitation or disadvantages. What are they? Where the informants are illiterate people, this method cannot be adopted. If you are asking some questionnaire and the informants are illiterate, then they are not able to respond you, and you are not able to get the information about that particular incident. So this is one of the major disadvantage or limitation. Second is, it is possible that some of the persons who receive the questionnaire do not return them. Their action is known as non-response. Or second disadvantage or limitation is that the respondent sometimes take it casual, taken for granted, or somewhat it does not show any interest in returning the information back. So these are the limitations and disadvantage of mail questionnaire method. Fifth is schedules sent through enumerators. Under this method, enumerators or interviewers take the schedules, meet the informants, and fill in their replies. A schedule is filled by the interviewer in a face-to-face situation with the informant. Merit, it can be adopted even if the informants are illiterate. Non-response is almost nil as the enumerators go personally and contact the informants. The informations collected are reliable. The enumerators can be properly trained for the same. Limitation or disadvantage, it is costliest method. Again, it is one-to-one or one-to-one contact, so it is costliest, because we in this method we reduce the time because we had appointed so many enumerators or interviewers for getting the information. So the time is reduced, but the cost is increased. So it is costliest method, one of the most costliest method. Extensive training is to be given to the enumerators for collecting correct and in uniform information. This is all about the primary data. Okay, now we are just moving for the secondary data. The data which are compiled from the records of others is called secondary data. That means there is no source of primary information, and the data is collected through any sort of medium is called secondary data. The data collected by individual or his agent is primary data for him, and the secondary data for all others. Once the data is assorted or collected, and after that, that data will be distributed or used by someone else, then that data is called secondary data. The secondary data are less expensive, but it may not give all the necessary information. As because the times passes on, the secondary data are not able to give the exact information of the situation, because as the time passes, the situation changes, and primary data need to renew for assessing as a secondary source. So secondary data can be compiled either from compiled or published source or from unpublished source. So the secondary data, the medium to get the secondary data is from published sources or from unpublished sources. Sources of published data: official publications of the central, state, and local governments. Whatever the data which is published by the central government, state government, and local governments in their official publication is called secondary data to analyze. Reports of committees and commissions, Already they had surveyed and get the primary data, and then they are making the report, and from that report we are getting the data is called secondary data. Publication brought about by research workers and educational associations, trade and technical journals, report and publication of trade association, chambers of commerce, bank, etc. Official publication of foreign governments or international bodies like UNO, UNESCO, etc. Now, what are the sources of unpublished data? Unpublished data is a type of secondary data, but it is not published. So, which data is not under the published or in any sort of medium or journalized way, that is called unpublished data. All statistical data are not published. For example, village level officials maintain record. By the example, we can analyze that, we can understand that what do you mean by unpublished data. Village level officials always maintain their records regarding area under crop production, etc. They collect details for administrative purposes. Just for the administrative purposes, they collect the details, but not for the publishing dam, or not need to publish the details. They just make the ledgers, they make just records and kept in a record rooms. Similarly, details collected by private organizations regarding persons, profits, sales, etc. So, if you are getting any company is having any sort of data about regarding their persons, about their profit, about their sales, they are not going to publish that data. These are the some sort of examples of unpublished data become secondary data and are used in certain surveys. These are the characteristics of secondary data. The secondary data possess the following characteristics. They should be reliable, adequate, suitable, accurate, complete, and consistent. Now, variables. As in the starting, we had already told you that, I had already told you that statistics is deal with the variation. Where there is a variation in the data according or continuous time, then the statistics is applicable. Otherwise, throughout constant, if there is no change, then statistics cannot be applied. So variables are the attributes. Variability is common characteristic in biological science. A quantitative or qualitative characteristic that varies from the observation to observation in the same group is called variables. You understand like that? Variables are, you had already studied in the mathematics that if you are going to represent a quadratic equation, suppose a equation y equals to ax square plus bx plus c. So the equation is in two variables. Here, one variable is depending on the other variable. If the variable x is going to continuously changes, that means a continuous change in their values, in the values of x. Simultaneous the value, after putting the value of x, we are just getting the value y in corresponding to the value of x. So their variables are dependent to each other. Now this is a tabular form to differentiate between primary and secondary data. The 4 points need to be focused to differentiate the primary and secondary data. First is original data. In primary data are original because investigation himself collects them. Whereas the secondary data are not original since investigator make use of the other agencies. Okay, if we are talking about the original data. Suitability. In these data, in the primary data are collected accurately and systematically, their suitability will be very positive. These might or might not be suit the objectives of inquiry. Third is time and labor. In reference to time and labor, primary data involves large expenses in terms of money, time, and manpower. Obviously, primary data requires lot of money, lot of time, and lot of manpower. But after investing like money, time, and manpower, we get the accurate data. These data are relatively less costly. In reference to precaution, Primary data don't need any great precaution while using these data because they are primary source. The informations are gathered from the primary source, so the precautions are not needed at all. And whereas in secondary data, these should be used with great care and caution. Now, quantitative data and qualitative data. The data is of two types, further classified as quantitative data and qualitative data. As the name itself defines that quantitative means the data which is in the quantity is known as quantitative data, and the qualitative data is known as, or the qualitative means the products or the observations which are highly based on their quality. The data which are collected on the quality base are known as qualitative data, and the data which are collected on quantitative or in the terms of quantity is known as quantitative data. Quantitative data, the basis of collection is according to difference in the quantity. In case of quantitative, variables and observations are made in terms of kilograms, liters, centimeters, etc. Example, weight of seeds, heights of plants, population, etc. Qualitative data, when the observations are made with respect to quality, is called qualitative data. Examples, crop variety, shape of seeds, soil type, variety of seeds. The qualitative variables are termed as attributes. Now, the classification of data is done on four major kinds. The classification is the process of arranging data into groups or classes according to the common characteristics possessed by the individual items. I'm again repeating, the classification is the process of arranging data into groups or classes according to the common characteristics possessed by the individual items. Data can be classified on the basis of one or more of the following kinds, namely geography, chronology, quality, and quantity. Thank you. Thank you for today. We will continue in the next lecture. Thanks. Hi, welcome all to my new video, that is graphic representation of the data. In the last video, we had done the graphic presentation overview, how the data is to be represented. So the data can be represented by various means of modes, through the diagrams and through the graphs. And the following categories are need to be discussed for graphical representation or presentation of data: the pie chart, the bar graph, the statistical map, the histogram, statistics in practice, the frequency polygon, time series charts, distortion in graphs. It is important to choose the appropriate graph to make statistical information coherent. So the pie chart, we are going to start with the pie chart, the race and ethnicity of the elderly. Pie chart, a graph showing the difference in frequency or percentage among categories of a nominal or an ordinal variable. The categories are displayed as segments of the circle. The categories are displayed as the segments of circle. That means the pie chart is representing a circle, and under the various segments we are going to display the category whose pieces added up to 100% of the total frequencies. So we are going to divide the whole circle in short of segments. Then when we are going to join up the different segments of a circle, it will become 100% of the total frequency. Like this, see an example. This is the pictorial representation or representation of pie chart. It is known as the pie chart. That means any data which can be represented in the form of circle through the different segments As you see that white colored, white or some, it is mentioned is white, but it is not white, it is blue. So it is of 87.7%. Black population. This shows the population annual estimate of US population 65 years and over by race in 2003. So 87.7% are the white people, the population of white. Black 8.3, American Indian 0.5%, Asian 2.8%, Pacific Islander 0.8%. Two or more is come out approximate 0.6%. Too many categories can be messy. So this is the pictorial representation of population in US depending on their ethnicity and race. So we can reduce some of the categories. We reduce almost in three categories, as you will see that white, black, other and two or more. Other and two or more. For the simplicity, because major quantity is represented in white and black. So white is again without any change 87.7%, and without any change black is also 8.3%, which is already mentioned in the previous pie chart, and all other categories are added up and come out equal to 4%. So this is the pictorial representation. As we see the already done in the last video, the advantages of pictorial representation, that it leaves a lasting impression. So pie chart, bar diagrams leaves a lasting impression, and it is easy to understand and easy to get the analysis about any survey. The bar graph, the living arrangements and labor force participation of the elderly. Bar graph, a graph showing a difference in frequency or percentage among categories of nominal or ordinal variables. The categories are displayed as rectangles of equal width with their height proportional to the frequency or percentage of the category. So again, this is a pictorial representation of a data in the form of diagram, and the diagram is known as bar graph. So bar graph are nothing. There are vertical columns of equal width. Their height can be vary depending upon their frequency or percentage of the category. Okay, but their width must be equal. So this is the presentation of bar diagrams. We categorize some categories: living alone, that's mean living arrangements of a males 65 and older. The males who are of the age of 65 and older than that in United States in year 2000. So those who are living alone, they are in between 10 to 20. Married males, which is above 70, and others, which is exactly equal to 10. So we can represent the data in the bar form, and you observe that while representing the data, the width of each bar is constant, not varying. Their height can be vary, which is depending upon the numbers or the data. Okay, so we categorize under three categories, that is living alone, married and others, and the subcategories are having the following data which can be represented in the form of bars. and it is easy to understand, easy to manipulate, easy to get the survey, easy to get the details about the survey. Okay. Now, if you want to go for the display of information by splitting, that is, in a same bar diagram, if we want to represent for both males and females, that is, living arrangement of males and females, which is more than 65 years of age, that is based on the gender. In year 2003, so living alone, so by the color, blue color shows the males and maroon color shows the females. So these are the statistical data, and these statistical data can be represented through the diagrams, and this method is particularly known as the bar diagram method. Again, this is the representation method. You can done or you can do in this way also, depending on your choice. For better understanding, percentage of man and woman 55 years and over in the civilian labor force. So we just representing the man and woman in the civilian labor force in the form of percentage, and the criteria for measuring that is one who are having the age more than 55 years or equal to 55 years. So you can easily understand this bar diagram that those who are having the 65 plus age, the women's come out to be 9.8% and the man's come out to be 18%. The age group from 60 to 64 for woman is equals to 44.3, for man is equals to 57.2%. And under the category of the age 55 to 59, women's are of 63.4% and men's are of 77.1%. So these calculations are calculated and just represent that data in the form of bars or pictorial representation through pie chart for better assessment or for quick assessment of the data. The statistical map, again, the next method, that is statistical map. The geographical distribution of the elderly, we can display dramatic geographical changes in American society by using a statistical map. Maps are especially useful for describing geographical variations in the variables such as population distribution, voting patterns, crime rates, or labor force participation. The statistical map is the geographical distribution. See this. This is the map, and in this map, each state is mentioned, and in the states, we just mention through the colors. The data are through the colors. Bureau of the Census is 9490 press release. Population estimates. These are the population estimates, and this is the black and white picture, so we are not able to recognize, but you can see that lighter, the one which is very light, they are having under 50%. One is which is more than the more darker than this light is 50 to 74%, and more darker than 75 to 90%, and 100% in a very dark regions. Current population report. Percentage increase in population 65 years and over. So this is the geographical representation. Percentage black of total state population 65 years and over, as a heading mentioned that what is the percentage of blacks of total state population and those who are having the age greater than 65 years, more than 65 years of age in year 1991. So again, the white portion is showing that under 5%, blacks are having 5%, and something more darker than white is 5 to 9.9%, and the most darkest shaded portion is 10% or more. Now the histogram. What do you mean by the histogram? What is the definition of histogram? How the representation of data can be done through the histogram? Histogram is a graph showing the difference in frequency or percentage among categories of an interval ratio. This is very important point. That is, if you are going to show the difference in frequency or percentage among the categories of an interval ratio variable, the categories are displayed as continuous bars, width proportional to the width of the category and height proportional to the frequency of percentage of that category. That is, histogram is basically a method of presentation of data in which it is almost similar to the bar diagram, but in bar diagram we restrict one condition that the width of the bars is not going to be changed, but in the histogram the width and the height is changed in accordance to the condition. So the age distribution in US population 65 years and over, 65 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 79, 80 to 84, 85 to 89, 90 to 94, 95 plus. This is the age distribution. And again, this is the another way of representing 85 plus, 80 to 84, 75 to 79, this. Males and female. Combinedly in this way, we are going to categorize for the males and females simultaneously. This is known as a histogram. Views population by gender and age simultaneously on the basis of the age and for both male and female. Now the next one is the frequency polygon. Frequency polygon, a graph showing the difference in frequency of percentage among categories of an interval ratio variables. Points representing the frequency of each category are placed above the midpoint of the category and are jointed by a straight line. So the frequency polygon method is method of representing the data under the graph category, not in the diagram category. So on the basis of the data, you are going to draw the graph by joining the points. Either you get a curve or either you get some sort of straight lines and all that. So the frequency polygon, population of Japan age 55 and over 2000, age 55 and over 2000, 2010 and 2020. So see the graph. Here we are representing the population of Japan for the people who are having the age 55 and more than 55 in year 2000, in year 2010 and in year 2020. So in year 2000 is denoted by blue line. In 2010, population represented by violet line, and year 2020, population represented by yellow line. And these are the population data on y-axis. So you can easily estimate the population over the period, and you can draw the prediction also. But if you want to ask the prediction in between, then the exact prediction cannot be done through the graphs. Time series chart. Again, this is the method of representing the data Time series chart, a graph displaying changes in variables at different points in time. It shows time measured in units such as years or months on the horizontal axis and the frequency, percentage or rates of another variable on the vertical axis. See the graph. Percentage of total US population of age 65 years and above from 1900 to 2050. So, starting from 1900 till to 2016, we just divide a scale in a constant quantity in the x-axis and a scale in a constant quantity in y-axis in the form of percentage: 0%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%. Okay, so this is the way we are going to representing through the graphical method in a time series method or in a time series manner. Again, this is the representation for on the gender base, the population for males and females. Distortions in graphs not only quickly inform us, they can quickly deceive us, because we are often more interested in general impression than in detailed analysis of the numbers. We are more vulnerable to being saved by distorted graph. What are graphical distortion? How can we recognize them? So this is all about the diagrammatic and graphical representation of the data, and further more discussion is going to be due in the next video. Thank you for today's video.